A spear whistles past your ear. Another shatters against the shield in your hand. The ground shakes beneath you. Hooves thunder, arrows hiss, men scream prayers into the dust, voices breaking as steel slams into flesh. You can't see more than a few paces ahead. The air is a storm of dirt, blood, and broken wood. A man you've never met falls at your feet, his face twisted in pain, his blood splattering across your boots. This is not salvation. This is survival. And yet, this is what it was like to fight in the First Crusade, to march east with nothing but faith, desperation, and a promise that every drop of sweat, every scream, every blow struck in this chaos would echo in heaven. But before the battlefield, there were words. Before the clash of steel, there was fire in the mouth of a pope. Clermont, 1095. Pope Urban II steps before a crowd, his voice thundering with conviction. He speaks of Jerusalem, the city of Christ, under the hand of the enemy. He speaks of sins washed away, of eternal salvation. He speaks of God's will. Deus lo vult. God wills it. The words ripple outward, carried by priests across villages and towns. They are repeated in dim, smoke-stained churches, in crowded markets, in the ears of men bent under poverty. You are one of them. A farmer. A man with nothing but debts, hunger, and calloused hands. When your village priest says those who march east shall have their sins erased, you feel the chains of your life slip. For the first time, you can imagine something beyond survival. Something greater. Neighbors lift their heads. Men who have never held a sword clench their fists. Women clutch infants tighter, unsure whether to weep or pray. And you, mud-stained, nameless, poor, you are swept into the tide. The bells ring. The chant rises. Deus lo vult. Deus lo vult. You shout until your throat aches. And with those words, you set your feet eastward. The march is nothing like the vision. You imagined holy fire carrying you across the land. Instead, blisters swell on your feet until every step feels like knives. Your cloak stinks of sweat and your mouth cracks with thirst. The army is not one army at all, it is thousands, a river of humanity stretching as far as the eye can see. Knights glitter in their armor at the head of columns, but behind them, a chaos of peasants, merchants, and priests. Wagons creak under the weight of children and belongings, chickens squawk, goats bleat, and women trudge barefoot, dragging sons too weak to walk. You thought you would march like a soldier, instead you march like a pilgrim in a sea of the desperate. At night, the ground becomes your bed. Sometimes you curl beneath a wagon for shade, other times you sleep in open fields beneath cold stars. And always, you hear the noises, men coughing, babies wailing, horses stamping, rats scuttling into whatever scraps remain. Hunger stalks the camp. Grain prices soar until only the wealthy knights can eat. You gnaw at bark, grass, leather straps boiled to softness. Some men steal from their brothers, others take from the dead. Disease follows. Dysentery, fever, the slow wasting of bodies. You see children buried in shallow graves beside the road, their mothers screaming until their voices break. Faith collides with fatigue. Some men desert quietly, slipping away in the night. Others kneel in prayer, begging God for relief. And yet, the chant never fully dies. Deus lo vult. Even when lips are cracked, even when stomachs are hollow, the words echo down the lines. A reminder of Jerusalem, a promise of salvation. You keep moving east, not because your body wants to, but because your soul fears to stop. By the time you reach Antioch, your body is half wasted. The city rises before you like a wall against the sky. Massive towers, high stone walls bristling with spears, defenders jeering down at you from above. Behind those walls, they eat, they drink, they sleep. Out here, you wait in mud, in filth, in hunger. The siege drags for months. At first, you think it will be quick. The army builds trenches, throws up palisades, cuts supply roads. But Antioch is vast. Its walls stretch for miles, with towers so tall you crane your neck to see their tops. Soon, weeks become months. Winter claws into your bones, numbing fingers to useless stumps. Summer follows, baking the ground into dust that chokes every breath. The camp becomes a graveyard. Shallow pits dot the earth, some marked with crosses, many not. Food disappears. You chew weeds, chew grass. Some gnaw at the leather of belts, or boil horse bones into thin broth. Rats vanish, hunted into extinction. There are whispers of worse things. Desperation drives men to unspeakable acts. Every day more men desert. Some slip into the night, vanishing into the hills. Others are caught, dragged back screaming, crucified as warnings to the rest. Disease stalks the camp. Dysentery leaves men crawling into ditches, their bodies emptying until they can no longer rise. Fever burns through others like fire, leaving only rags of skin and bone. Your stomach cramps endlessly, but worse is the sight of friends fading beside you. Their lips dry, their voices faint, their prayers hoarse until silence swallows them.
The enemy knows. From Antioch's walls they hurl insults, rotting meat, even corpses into the camp. A message: we live and you die. And yet, hope arrives. A relic is discovered, the holy lance, the spear that pierced the side of Christ. You are there when it is carried through camp, lifted above trembling hands. Word spreads like wildfire. Men who could not stand yesterday now rise to their feet. Hollow eyes burn with sudden fire. Faith becomes weapon. Songs echo where coughs once lingered. Even your own chest feels lighter. For a moment you believe God is with you. When the gates finally crack open after months of torment, you rush forward. Inside, chaos. Blood slicks the cobbles, screams ricochet from stone walls, crusaders swarm through houses, dragging out treasures, cutting down those who resist. You see men you marched with, farmers, peasants, swinging swords like executioners, their faces blank, their mouths still chanting prayers. And you strike too, because to hesitate now would be death. Yet as you move through Antioch, victory tastes strange. Not triumph, but survival. Not glory, but a grim relief that you are not one of the thousands left in shallow pits outside. Antioch is no triumphal entry, it is a crucible. For some, a grave. For others, a fire that burns away doubt until only iron will remains. Jerusalem. The name has lived in your prayers for years, spoken in whispers around campfires, shouted in sermons that carried over fields, and now it is there. Not a vision, not a rumor. Stone walls rise against the white heat of the sun, shining like the edge of a blade. But it is not yours, not yet. The walls are massive, gates of iron, defenders crowding the ramparts. You see flashes of shields, bows, the gleam of helmets. Their chants echo down, carried by the wind. They are ready. And so the siege begins. Day after day you haul wood across jagged ground. You lash beams together with rope, your hands splitting, nails ripped and bleeding. Siege towers groan upward, lumbering giants born from pain and desperation. Every hour brings arrows hissing from above. Stones the size of barrels smash into the ground, sending men flying. Fire rains down, oil hissing when it touches skin. You hear screams that turn into silence. The sun beats down mercilessly. Heat rolls over the field in shimmering waves. Your armor scalds, your mouth cracks, your throat burns. You drink water so foul it stinks of rot, and still you drink, because thirst is worse. Some collapse where they stand, lips swollen, eyes sunken, never to rise again. At night, you lie in the dust, staring up at the stars. You wonder how many more nights until you are dead, or worse, forgotten. But the towers rise, the rams strike, day after day, the city trembles. And then, the assault begins.
You run forward with the tide of men, the ground trembling beneath thousands of boots. Siege towers creak and groan, arrows slam into shields, men cry out as iron rips through flesh. The air is fire and smoke. You scramble up ladders slick with blood, feel stones crash against helmets beside you. Your ears ring with steel clashing steel, with war cries, with shrieks of agony. And then, you are inside. The streets explode with chaos. The clash of swords ricochets down alleys. Horses rear, men scream, houses burn. Flames leap from roof to roof, smoke blackens the sky. Blood pours into gutters until the ground itself is red. You see comrades, pilgrims who once prayed beside you, now mad with frenzy. Some cry out the name of Christ as they cut down anyone before them. Others laugh, drunk on slaughter. Some weep even as they kill, their tears lost in ash and smoke. You swing your weapon too, because to hesitate now is to die. And yet with every strike, the thought gnaws at you. Is this salvation? Or is this damnation in disguise? When resistance finally collapses, you stumble into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The air inside is cool, dark. You drop your weapon, you fall to your knees. Tears streak through the dirt on your face. This is what you marched for. This is what the Pope promised. Forgiveness, eternity, God's will. Men all around you weep, praying, kissing the stones, pressing bloody hands to holy relics. You hear voices cracking, sobs echoing off the walls. And yet, outside the screams still rise. Outside fire devours homes. Outside the blood does not stop. You kneel in silence, and for the first time you wonder if God hears you at all. Jerusalem is victory, but it is also shadow. And you wonder, as the smoke seeps even into this holy place, which will outlast the other, the glory or the horror? The shouting fades, but peace never comes. It only thins. Jerusalem exhales smoke for days. The alleys are warm with ash. Flies stitch the air into a dull, humming curtain. You move carefully, as if sound itself could break you. A mailed boot nudges a fallen shield, a door groans. Somewhere, a hymn staggers into tune, then dies on a throat too dry to sing. You survived. That word tastes strange now. It sits in your mouth like a hot stone. You wash your hands. Blood curls into the rinse water, then clings back to your skin as if it belongs there. You scrub again, harder. It doesn't matter. The first day after the taking of the city becomes a long ledger. The living, the wounded, the lost. Men you knew by the weight of their steps are now lighter than cloth. A companion who joked through hunger now stares at the wall, lips moving without sound. Another polishes his blade until the metal shows his eyes back to him. Two small fires he cannot put out. A priest lays a cloth on a stone and whispers absolutions. A knight kneels, helm under his arm, shoulders shaking, not with prayer, but with something raw and unshaped. A boy no older than 15 tries to laugh and cannot find the breath. You wander the streets you fought through and see them a second time. The broken ladder, the burst water jar, the doorway where someone pressed their back and held for one more breath than you thought possible. You find the corner where you nearly died and stand there,
like returning to the mouth of a cave you escaped. It has your shape in it. The talk begins immediately, spoils, shares, vows. Some claim relics with shaking hands. Others argue over houses with the fervor of starving men reading a menu. You hear plans spoken like prayers. Who will stay? Who will return? Who will rule what cannot be ruled without bleeding?
At the Holy Sepulchre, men weep into stone. Outside, merchants test the future with timid offers. Children peer from shadows, measuring the edges of the conqueror's mercy. A woman accepts a cup of water from your hand and will not look up. You do not know how to carry her silence. At night, the city breathes differently. The wind smells of damp ash and hammered iron. Someone laughs 2 streets over, sudden, reckless, wrong, and the sound collapses into a cough. You try to sleep. The eyelids close, the mind opens. Stares. Smoke. A voice calling your name and then not. Your hand clenches in the dark, searching for a hilt that isn't there. You make the sign of the cross on the air where no one can see, as if your fingers can bless the things your blade unmade. Letters begin. Ink over the memory of heat. You try to write the truth and the truth breaks the pen. You try to write the story they want and the paper refuses the shape of those words. So you write the only sentence that will travel without corrupting. We took Jerusalem. It is not false. It is not complete. It moves like a coin from your hand to theirs. They will polish it, mount it, sing about it. You will lie awake beneath it. On the 4th day, you share bread with a man who once swore he would never share again. He tears it as if it could scream. On the 5th, you bury someone whose name does not fit in your mouth. You never knew it. You say it anyway. The earth answers with the soft sound of acceptance. A commander speaks of vows fulfilled. A priest speaks of sins forgiven. You listen. You try to let the words settle inside you. Some do. Most hover just above the heart, like birds that will not land. You walk the walls at dusk. The stones are still warm. Far off, the world keeps going. A dog barks, a cartwheel sticks, a bell rings twice and then once more as if it forgot its place. You survived. That is a sentence you can carry to morning. But you also changed. That is the weight no one can lift for you. And as the city settles into the first uneasy sleep of a conquered place, you sit with your back to a wall, armor loosened, hands empty. You test a thought like a tooth. What exactly did I win? The question does not break. It stays. It may always stay. News runs faster than men. It outraces horses, crosses mountains, floats on ships, rides sermons like a hawk rides thermals. Jerusalem is taken. The words are lighter than a feather and heavier than a crown. In far villages, bells ring until the ropes burn palms. In cities, processions spill down streets, incense thick as fog. Priests lift voices that tremble not with fear, but with story. Children chase banners. Old men weep, the way stone weeps in winter. You imagine the telling because you have heard the beginning 100 times. A pope spoke. A people rose. A long road, a holy victory. Each word sounded smooth, each corner rounded for the mouth. When you finally write again, you choose fewer words, not more. You send a scrap of cloth kissed to something sacred, a splinter too small to prove, a prayer too long to finish. The letter will be held up in candlelight. It will be touched to lips. It will be believed. What you do not send. The sound a man makes when the last air leaves the body. The smell of water gone bad. The echo of your own step at night when you think someone is following you and realize it is only your shadow, carrying your weight back. Those belong to the part of the city no map can draw,
the streets you keep in the chest. Songs arrive. They arrive before you do. Men with clear throats and clean hands will shape the battle into verses that fit neatly against each other. Rhyme married to memory. They will sing under high beams, and the notes will climb to a ceiling that has never known smoke. Chroniclers will bind pages where no ash will ever fall. They will choose a handful of names from a river of faces and say, "These endured. God favored them." They will not lie. They will not say everything. When you do finally turn your face west, the road is another kind of siege. No walls, only distance. Grass returns. Rivers run without blood. Villagers watch you pass and judge by the dirt on your cloak whether you belong to their hope. You find yourself walking more slowly through places that smell of bread. You wait outside doorways until voices finish a joke before you knock. Laughter needs a shore. You arrive like weather. At home, if the word still fits. The faces you love have aged by the weight of seasons you were not there to count. A child you left small stands eye to eye. Another asks whether Jerusalem is made of gold. You kneel to tell them a story that will not break their sleep. You succeed, you fail. You succeed enough. A neighbor touches the back of your hand and says, "God chose you." You look at the scar there. It is the one proof you wish did not persuade. The village church receives you like a harbor. The floorboards remember your knees. The priest speaks your name slowly, as if afraid to wake something in it. You offer a coin you do not remember taking, a vow you are not sure you can keep, a silence you will keep anyway. At night you dream. The city is there again, but it speaks in gestures now. A door half open, a cup set down, a shadow stepping out of the way. You wake with your hand reaching for a wall that is not there. You breathe, count to 12, begin the day. History will call it the First Crusade. It will chart routes in red and blue, place crowns on maps, draw arrows toward a city that glows as if backlit by heaven. It will arrange cause and effect until the lines make a kind of music. If you stand beside the chart and do not speak, the lines will tell your story for you. If you do speak, the lines will listen, then keep singing what they were asked to sing. So I ask you, if you had been there with me, armor hot enough to blister, mouth full of dust, a prayer half finished on your tongue as you stepped through a door you helped break, what would you have called it? Glory? Obedience? Punishment wrapped in a promise? Or simply survival? You learned the weight of the word holy by carrying it. You learned how heavy mercy is when you try to lift it with tired hands. You learned that victory and grief can sit on the same bench and share a cup without speaking. And when the bells ring again, in your village, in your chest, you answer with the only honest sound left, a breath, one drawn in, one let go, a life continuing. That is the echo of God's will as it passes through a human throat.